It is always a good night when the Sens beat the Leafs. So, okay, I want to say something here before I start talking about the game. So, if you've watched my videos, if you know me, and you know how hard I am on the Sens, you'll know that, I'm not afraid to say, yeah, the Sens sucked tonight, they were terrible. I say that all the time, right? You'll never hear me say that the opponent played terrible. The Leafs looked horrible tonight. I was actually shocked. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this was their first home game since before the Olympic break. They looked so bad tonight. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And honestly, if this was a different team, the Leafs are lucky that this was not like against Colorado or something, because they quite literally might have scored like 12 goals against them tonight, and I'm not exaggerating. So the score ends up being 5-2 Sens, but there were 3 goal posts for the Sens, and we all know, if you're a Sens fan, if you've watched them play this year, they have trouble finishing a lot of the time. So that's what I mean. Like, if this was a different team, this could have been an absolute slaughter fest tonight. But a win is a win. The Sens looked fantastic tonight, so I'm feeling great. But again, at the end of the day, it is just one game. You never want to get too high after just one game. And they are still 5 points out of a playoff spot, but this was great tonight. So, Game 59 of the season was played on Saturday, February 28th against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Start Time. This was the second meeting of the season between these two teams. So, of course, the last time they played was on December 27th, and that was a wild one. That was a 7-5 win for Toronto. So, the Sens got their revenge tonight. So, starting goaltenders were Linus Ullmark for the Sens and Joseph Woll for the Leafs. So, the Sens were 28, 22, and 8 coming into tonight, and the Leafs were 27, 23, and 9 coming into tonight. And that just, again, I cannot get over how bad the Leafs looked. Just overall thoughts of the game. I do want to mention as well, I did not do a watch party for this one because it's the weekend. I tend to watch those games with my dad. So, yeah, I'll talk more about watch parties at the end of the video. But yeah, this was great, and I'll say it again. It's always a good night when the Sens beat the Leafs. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into the stats for tonight's game. So the Sens win by a score of 5-2 against the Leafs, and they now improve to 29, 22, and 8 on the season. And the Leafs are 27, 24, and 9, and now the Sens are 3 points ahead of the Leafs in the standings, so this is good. I'm just so thankful this game did not go to overtime. We did not need that tonight. So if you look at the stats here, the shots, 40-23 for the Sens, but they kind of eased up a little bit in the third period, or they could have had more. But 40 that's a lot. So face-off percentage, the Leafs actually dominate 51%, not by a lot, 49% for the Sens. Power play, the Sens, they did great on their special teams again tonight. So 1 for 3 on their power play. The Leafs were 0 for 2, so you'll love to see the Sens go 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. So penalty minutes were 27 for the Leafs, 15 for the Sens. This game got pretty scrappy at points, which it should, right? It's the Battle of Ontario, so yeah, there was one moment in the game where it really got pretty heated there, which I'll talk about. Block shots 15-6 in favor of the Leafs. Giveaways, this doesn't seem accurate at all. Apparently both teams had 14 giveaways. No. If that is accurate, the giveaways that the Leafs made were way more significant. Like, I cannot believe how terrible they looked. And like, I've made it very clear I do not like the Leafs. I never have liked the Leafs, but you're never gonna hear me say the opponent looked terrible. Like, those words just never leave my mouth, but I couldn't believe what I was watching tonight. So yeah, the giveaways were even, apparently. Didn't feel like it. Takeaways were 6-5 in favor of the Sens, and these two teams have 2 more meetings. They are both in Ottawa. The next one's going to be on March 21st, so do look out for that. So we will go through my notes here, and this is the first time I've taken notes after a game since before the Olympic break, so I thought maybe I'd be a bit rusty, but no, it actually went pretty well. Anyways, so we begin the game here, and 50 seconds into the game, Dylan Cousins takes a penalty. So, okay, not a good start. They do kill it off, and Toronto right away, we are just a few minutes into this game, and the Leafs don't threaten at all on this power play. No, I think there was one attempted shot. They don't get a shot on it, and I'm just like, wow, okay. They take a penalty, but it was a good kill. So, that's good. However, this team likes to do something to get your hopes up, and then they will stomp on it immediately. So guess what happened? Right after they kill off that penalty, Riley scores on the first shot of the game. So, it's like, okay, yep, this is a typical Sens fashion here. So, there isn't really much Ullmark can do on this one, though. Like, Riley is able to walk in alone. It's, maybe you'd like Ullmark to stop this one, but at the same time, it's like, it's a point-blank chance. So, Morgan Riley does score at the 2:52 mark from Matthews and McCabe, and the Leafs go up 1-0 on the first shot of the game. So, not good. So, after, we're about maybe 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and it's been pretty even, but the Sens are still trailing. Then, as soon as they put that down, the Sens had a shot go off the post, and they start to play pretty well. They start to gain some momentum, but they still haven't scored, right? But ask and you shall receive, because the Sens gain the zone, and Chabot gets a great look from the slot, and he would score. Very nice shot by Chabot there. So he would score his 6th of the season at the 10:59 mark from Tkachuk and Dylan Cousins, and this would tie the game at 1. So this is good. That's a big goal for the Sens. So with 7:52 remaining in the first period, the shots are 7-2 for Ottawa. So they're playing really good, but the game is tied. So there's a scramble play around the Toronto net, and the Leafs, they end up taking a penalty out of this. There was a one-timer on the power play that was stopped by Woll. That was a good chance by the Sens there. The shots are now, after that power play, they don't score on it. They are now 12-2 for Ottawa. It gets worse. Trust me, it gets worse. And I put in my notes here, the Leafs look horrible. They are not doing anything at all. Minus that goal, that one chance they had, they're not doing anything in this game. I could not believe what I was watching. Again, they're at home. It's their first home game since before the Olympic break. I could be mistaken about that, but I'm pretty sure it is. But, of course, I'm loving it here as a Sens fan. I'm like, yes, keep playing this way. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the game is tied still, right? So it's the Sens. We know how feeble their goaltending is. But I will say, Ullmark ended up having a pretty good night tonight. So, the shot attempts at one point in the period, late in the period, 27-4 for the Sens. That's just absurd. That is absolutely absurd. So, the Leafs went more than 16 minutes without a shot on goal at one point. So, in the first period, we end the first period tied 1-1, but the shots were 16-2 for the Sens. But it's tied. So in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, they're absolutely dominating this game everywhere on the ice, but it's tied. So I'm like, well, okay. So we roll on to the second period, and there's a crazy sequence here at the Toronto net. 4 guys went down. Everybody went down. Woll was kind of slow getting up, but everyone was okay. Woll would stay in the game, well, for now. So there was a long Sens shot that was blocked, and then Dylan Cousins would score on the rebound. So Dylan Cousins scores his 19th of the season from Chabot and Zetterlund at the 3:03 mark of the second period, and the Sens go up 2-1. So we are 5 minutes and 28 seconds into the second period. The shots are 20-3 for the Sens. 20-3, but they're only up by 1. It's I cannot believe how bad the Leafs look tonight. This is it's insane. And I put in my notes again, Toronto, they are literally not doing anything. There is one team playing right now, but they're only up by one. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's still a chance they can come back, right? So, and as soon as I put that, Nick Waugh, he would have a shot go off the post. So, like, that could have easily tied the game right there. Just never get your hopes up, right? And I put in my notes here, they can't let their opponent shoot, or it's got a pretty good chance of going in. But I'll say it again, Allmark did end up having a pretty good night tonight, so there is that. So Kachuk would make a big hit on Lawton, and then there was a big save by Woll on Amadio, and the Sens are just simply dominating. And that's an understatement. Like, there's just nothing going on for the Leafs tonight. And it's just kind of paradise for me as a Sens fan. So Sanderson would have a shot go off the post as well. So there were a few posts tonight. So then another shot was stopped by Woll, and then Batherson would score on the rebound. So Batherson would score his 20th of the season. Apparently this one was unassisted. I don't know about that, but that goal came at the 13:05 mark, and the Sens go up 3-1. So just keep playing like this, and they'll be fine. So even though this game is being completely dominated by the Sens, Leafs get one chance, they come back the other way, and they score. But this was a really weird play. So I didn't notice this at real time, but Nyes would put the puck into his own end, and it went to Batherson. Oh, that's why it's unassisted. Never mind. Dumb moment there. So he puts it back into his own end to Batherson, and then he walks in and scores. So the Leafs end up challenging this for offside. In my mind, I'm thinking, what? So in my mind, I'm thinking, like, if this goal gets waved off, then I don't know what offside is. So I'm like, that's not offside. Why are they challenging this? And what's even more strange is, I forget the number now. They said the Leafs, the video review coach or whoever had like a crazy number of challenges correct in a row, and then they challenged that. I'm like, what the heck? So they would look at it, they'd review it, and the goal does stand. So I put in my notes, that's a really, really bizarre challenge by the Leafs. I'm like, what the do they not know what offside is? It was weird. Because again, Nyes played it back into his own end. So the goal does count. The Sens stay up 3-1, and they also get a power play out of it now too. So, it was onside. Sens go back to the power play, and yeah, I'm just checking something quickly in my notes here. Okay, anyways, so yeah, on that power play, for some reason I didn't put. Hang on, I'm getting my notes all mixed up. I am all over the place. I told you guys I might be rusty. I do apologize. So I skipped the goal. Batherson scored at 13:05. That made it 3-1. And then, yeah, the Leafs made it 3-2. Yes, there we go. Okay, so the Batherson goal, the offside and all that, that was scored at 15:15. That was unassisted. And that made it 4-2. Okay, my goodness, I'm all over the place. It's rust, man. It's rust. So, on that power play that the Sens got because of that weird challenge by the Leafs, Dylan Cousins would score his 20th of the season at the 16:06 mark from Stützle and Sanderson, and the Sens go up 5-2. So after that goal, Woll's night is done. He comes out, in comes Stolarz. Stolarz didn't let anything in tonight, so again, I put in my notes, I can't get over how horrible the Leafs look. It's just, I couldn't believe what I was watching, really. But in my notes, I did put, it's not over yet, because we've seen many comebacks this season from many teams, so I didn't want to get my hopes up too much. So the shots in that second period end up being 15-8 for the Sens. So after 2 periods, the shots are 31-10 for the Sens. just complete domination. And it's refreshing because I feel like I've not been able to say that a whole lot about the Sens, like where they dominate and they actually, win by a few goals. It's unheard of. So we roll into the third period. There was no scoring in the third period. It stays 5-2 the whole way. So this is where the game starts getting really heated. There was scrums all over the ice. Stolarz got involved. I was thinking Ullmark might skate down to the other end at one point, but he didn't. And Domi went after two different Sens players. It was Sanderson and Jensen, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Somehow this ends up staying 5-on-5 out of all this. I don't know how. I feel like the Sens probably should have got a power play out of that, but nonetheless, stays 5-on-5. And the Sens, they're continuing to play pretty well. They're not really trying quite as much offensively, which I get it. Like, it's, they're up by 3. The natural tendency is to sit back, which I'm never a fan of, but it didn't cost them tonight. The Leafs just didn't look great tonight, right? So they were fine. So I did put in my notes, though, do not start sitting back, which they kind of did, sort of, a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. So there was another horrendous giveaway by the Leafs, and Tkachuk gets a shot, and then Dylan Cousins, he would just miss the rebound here, and he's looking for the hat trick at this point. And then Batherson would get a breakaway, but he was stopped, and he is also looking for a hat trick. This is what I mean. So the Sens score 5, right? They had 3 goal posts, the breakaway here by Batherson, and then the rebound by Cousins. If this was a top-tier team, like I know I mentioned Colorado earlier, then we could have easily seen 10 goals tonight. Easily. Like, it's just insane, the chances they had. So after that Batherson breakaway, there was a scrum behind the Toronto net, and somehow Tkachuk gets the only penalty out of this. I don't know how. I'm not even sure what he did on this play, but the Leafs go back to the power play. They don't score on it. The Sens do kill it off. And McMahon would get one good chance. That was stopped, and then he was also stopped on his own rebound on the power play, so good chance there. That was stopped by Ullmark. And then Pinto would have a shot go off the post. If I'm not mistaken, I think Pinto had 3 posts tonight by himself. I think. I know he had at least 2, but he had a hat trick of posts, I guess. Now, there was a weird play here towards the end of the game. So there was a hit from behind by Waugh on Clevin, and Clevin was slow getting up, but this wasn't a penalty. But what was weird is they did call a penalty for something else. There was like a little slash that Riley did on, I forget who it was on now, but nothing vicious, but they call Riley for the slash and not the hit from behind. So I'm like, okay. I guess it kind of evens out. It should have been a power play regardless, but yeah, just weird how the hit from behind wasn't called. So on the power play, guess what happens? The Sens hit another post. So that's just crazy. Like, we could have easily seen double digits tonight if this was any other team, I swear. So Cowan would get a breakaway late in the period, but he was stopped, and that's pretty much it. So the shots in that third period end up being 13-9 for Toronto. Again, the Sens did kind of sit back slightly. They definitely weren't trying quite as much offensively in the third period, but yeah, this was insane. The first 2 periods especially just completely dominated. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Again, going back, the shots were 31-10 after the second period. That's just insane. So we take a look at the 3 stars here. First star of the game is Dylan Cousins. He had 2 goals and 1 assist, and he very well could have had a hat trick tonight. And speaking of hat tricks, second star of the game was Drake Batherson. He also had 2 goals, and he also could have had a hat trick easily. And third star of the game was Shabbat. He had a goal and an assist. So we'll go ahead and look through the box score for the Sens here, starting off with the forwards. So as mentioned, Dylan Cousins did have 2 goals and 1 assist. Batherson had 2 goals. Kachuk, Stutzla, Zetterlund, they all had 1 assist. Plus minus, Kachuk, Zetterlund, they were +2. Batherson and Dylan Cousins were +1. Nobody was a minus. The time on ice leader was Stutzla with 18:31. And the shot leader for forwards was Kachuk with 6. And for blocks, Amadio and Halliday both had 1. And for hits, Kachuk and Dylan Cousins had 6 hits each. And moving on to the defense here, Shabbat, as mentioned, had 1 goal and an assist. Sanderson had also had an assist. And for plus minus, what the heck? Wait, doing a double take here. Huh. Interesting. So no forward was a minus. The plus minus for defense is all over the place. So Jensen was +3, Shabbat was +2, Zub and Sanderson were +1, Spence was -1, Clevin was -2. Huh. Wow. Okay. Sanderson led the way in ice time with 23-12, which is actually kind of low for him. But he had a great night tonight, as he usually does. Shot leader for defense was Shabbat with 3. And Shabbat also led the defense in blocks with 2. And the hits, Zub, Jensen, and Clevin all had 1 hit each. And the save percentage for Allmark, as mentioned, he ended up having a good night, a .913 save percentage. Oh, it's so refreshing. I don't see that very often. I just don't see a 900 save percentage or better very often from the Sens. So, yeah, this feels good. Big win, huge win, considering the fact that the Leafs were 1 point behind the Sens coming into tonight. And I'll say it again, it's just I'm a Sens fan. I've made it very clear I do not like the Leafs. It's always a good night when they beat the Leafs, but at the end of the day, you never want to get too high after 1 win. The Sens have a lot of work to do still, because they are still 5 points out of a playoff spot. And just taking a look at the standings right now, so they're tied with Columbus. They're 3 behind Washington. They are 5 behind Boston, who currently holds that second wildcard spot. So, yeah, they're on a good run. They are 6-1-1 in their last 8, I believe it is. 6-3-1 their last 10. So, got to keep it rolling. And good things will happen if they keep playing the way they did tonight. So, looking ahead here, their next game will be on Tuesday, March 3rd. That'll be in Edmonton, so they're getting set to head out to Western Canada. So they'll be taking on the Oilers, a 9 o'clock PM Eastern start time. So looking at the schedule here, their next 4 games, they're all going to be road games. So they're on their 5-game road trip and starting off big tonight with the big 5-2 win. So these games, I don't know if I'll be doing watch parties for these ones. You got Edmonton, Calgary, Seattle, Vancouver. Maybe I'll do watch parties. I'm not sure yet. It's a bit trickier with the later start times just because, I don't want to make too much noise too late at night, but we'll figure it out. But either way, there will definitely be videos coming up for those as well, so do look out for that. And yeah, this is a good night. Big win. And it makes it even better when it's against the Leafs. So, yeah, that is pretty much it for this one, guys. The Sens win by a score of 5-2 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they've been playing some great hockey, man. If Omar can continue to play the way he did tonight, good things will happen. Because, yes, they are 5 points out of a playoff spot, but, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's not impossible. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and go Sens go.